Hey, entrepreneurs, are you ready to unlock growth potential in your business through acquisition? This week on Profit with a Plan podcast, we're delving into the powerful strategy of business acquisition, discovering how acquiring existing businesses can provide a shortcut to expansion and financial stability and even long-term success. So join my guest expert today, Jeff Villwock, as we share insighting tips on navigating the complexities of buying or acquiring businesses. So join us on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. Hey entrepreneurs, are you trying to make bigger profits in your small business? If you're like most of us business owners, increasing your profitability is always on your mind, and you're probably looking for ways to grow your revenue while growing your company. Well, you found a podcast that shares ideas to help you do just that. I'm Marcia, known as the Profit Booster, and I'm a business growth strategist. I've helped tons of small business owners to establish and implement a tangible plan that guarantees increased profitability, guide your growth, and plans for your future exit. Because building a highly profitable and sale-ready business creates a win-win scenario. That's more money now and a windfall when it's time to let go. And I want to share strategies that I've learned with you on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. But before we get started, I have something really great to share with you. If you ever wanted to supercharge your business, avoid profit plateaus, operational headaches, and growth roadblocks, well, I've created a brand new Profit Booster playbook just for you. You'll uncover 3 essential strategies and a quick way to take action on them. Now, this isn't just a single-page report. It's filled with impactful strategies, actionable steps, and expert guidance to elevate your profits. Go download this free playbook at boostingprofit.com. All right, that was a lot, right? So we've got our guest on today, Jeff Villwock. I apologize for butchering it. Jeff is a seasoned veteran with over 40 years of experience in the investment banking industry, currently serving as the CEO of Rittenhouse Book Distributions, a nationwide, the largest distributor of health science textbooks. Jeff's career is a testament to his expertise and dedication. Jeff's journey began as an investment analyst and quickly rose through the ranks, earning accolades on Wall Street Journal's All-Star Analyst and Healthcare Services. Nearly 2 decades ago, he ventured out from under his own investment banking firm, completing a $2.5 billion transaction. His strategic insights have shaped the healthcare sector, including advising on pivotal acquisitions, and from leading healthcare research at Robinson Humphreys to founding Camus Partners and later joining Genesis Capital. Jeff's contributions to the M&A and capital raising is remarkable. His passion for helping entrepreneurs achieve financial freedom by acquiring existing business rather than starting it up from scratch is truly inspiring. So, Jeff, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much. Great to be here.
Awesome. So quite a history, right? I'm sure the appearances said that you've gone through the trenches many years, right? And created some really incredible exits and opportunities, and I love it. But most people don't wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to be an M&A advisor and I'm going to sell companies and help acquire buyers to buy companies. What got you into this?
Well, I realize this is really my 4th career. I mean, you,
Okay.
you touched on it earlier. I mean, the first career was about 25 years as an investment analyst. I was one of the top healthcare analysts in the country. Decided to go over to what I call the dark side of investment banking. Went over to investment banking back near the turn of the century, and spent the next 20 years, doing deals. And then you also mentioned I'm CEO of Rittenhouse Book Distributors. So in 2020, right in the middle of COVID, I completed the acquisition of the largest health science textbook distributor in the United States. And we did that, I mean, literally in June of 2020. If you think back of what was going on in June of 2020,
We were
I
in
mean,
full
particularly
lockdown.
full lockdown, particularly schools. I mean, all the customers of Rittenhouse are primarily, medical schools, nursing schools, colleges, universities from Harvard, on down, or major, healthcare institutions like the Mayo Clinic. Well, most of those folks were absolutely out of business when we bought this thing. Now, obviously, we kind of expected that wasn't going to last very long, or we wouldn't have completed the deal. But anyway, so I'm in the process of selling that business right now, reselling it 4 years later. And now the question becomes, okay, what's next? And what's next is, helping businesses grow through acquisition and helping, individuals who are just entrepreneurs that are tired of being in a job and they want to go out and build something.
Mm.
And they've got an expertise and hopefully they've got a little bit of capital, but I can help them do that. So I mean, I've been doing deals my entire business life, which is now pushing 50 years.
Yikes.
And so it's just natural for me to want to do this now.
I love it. I love it. Well, we always evolve through our careers and find things that we like and kick those things that we don't like to the curb. But I love the idea that business owners, especially, that entrepreneurial mindset, we never stop. Most of us are never going to stop. Okay, we may play golf a little bit more often, or we may travel a little bit more often, but in reality, it's embedded in our mind to continue and keep going. So I love the idea that you're saying, hey, we can acquire a business for growth, or we can step into a business and, if I've got some skill set, I can step into an already running business and continue it.
Exactly. I mean, if you're already a business owner, so you're a successful business owner, and you've got your little niche in the world, all right, you can go out and buy somebody else that's either doing the same thing that you are. Maybe it's a different market. Maybe it's the same market, and you just want to increase their market share. Maybe I'm working with a company right now that's a builder. All right, they could go out and buy a cabinet maker. Right, they could buy somebody that does landscaping for new construction, and it's just a different vertical for the same business. And the beauty of that, Marcia, is that you buy a business. Let's say it's cash flowing $500,000 a year, just to pick a number. All right. But you already have your accounting staff. You don't need their accounting staff. You already have your IT staff. You don't need their IT staff. You already know how to run the company. You probably don't need the CEO of that company after, maybe a month or two of transition. And all of those costs go away. So that 500,000 maybe it becomes 600, maybe it becomes 700, just because you're already in the business that you're buying.
Right.
That makes some sense?
It makes complete sense. Besides the fact that, having either an expansion in your own market, right, where you're just adding more customers, taking over your competition of sort,
Right.
or if you're doing the verticals, like you said, they're naturally complementary to what you're already doing.
Precisely. So if you're a builder and you're building new homes, I mean, there's all sorts of things,
Exactly.
all sorts of subs that you're using that if and the subcontractors you're using obviously are making a profit, or they wouldn't be doing it, right? And if you were the builder and you owned those subcontractors, then you get to earn those profits. And again, there's some costs I'm sure that it will come out of the business. So that's a fascinating area to look at.
No, I love it. Actually, funny enough, I have a client that's already looking into that expansion in construction market, talking about buying the subcontractors that he's already paying. So, they've got a margin on it. So why couldn't he just take that margin and develop it for himself as well as some of his near competitors? And I think it's just a fantastic way of looking at a business to say, how can I grow, right? There's no reason for you to go out and recreate the wheel, folks. It's already in existence. And depending on the reason that company wants to exit, there could be a great opportunity. It could be a health situation, it could be an age situation, it could just be, I'm done and I want to do something else. But those are opportunities for you to come in and get something that's already moving, already has
Exactly right.
reputation. And then it's like with a few minor tweaks of a couple of months of, integrating, you've got a profitable leg of your business.
That's exactly right. And in fact, you mentioned really the three things that make sellers sell. All right. People sell either because they want to retire or they've got health issues and they've been told they need to retire, or because they're sick and tired of being sick and tired of running the business. I mean, look, running a business is tough. You run your business, I run my. There's nothing easy about it. It's worthwhile, but there's nothing easy about it. And sometimes business owners, particularly in a post-COVID world, and think of all the changes that happened. There's a ton of businesses that actually went out of business
Mhm.
because either the customers couldn't get out of their house, or the entrepreneur is like hitting their head against the wall. And they said, and at some point, enough is enough. And they go on to do something else.
I love it. But that means there's an opportunity for growth-minded companies that are
Absolutely.
saying, what else could I add on that I'm already doing?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
makes great sense. So when thinking about these kind of opportunities, so what are the roadblocks to the current company to take over those kind of things? The first thing obviously that comes to mind would maybe be money or, integration or things like that. But share with us, if you would, what are some of the obstacles that the business owner has in mind that probably aren't as hard as they think they are?
Well, I think probably the number one thing that would be on top of mind for everybody, how in the world am I going to pay for this? Where's the money
Right.
going to come from? All right, so I'm going to buy a company and just go back to my previous example. The cash flow is $500,000 a year. Maybe you pay three times that, or million and a half dollars. That's great. Where'd that come from? Right? And so, but there's so much funding out there right now. Small Business Association, yeah, the SBA that has great programs, and banks are very active in the SBA program, and you can borrow up to $5 million, in that
Nice.
program. So you want to do $1.5 million acquisition. Realize I'm presuming that the company that's doing the buying is already a profitable company.
Right.
Assuming you're buying a profitable company and you're going to be taking some cost out of that profitable company, making it even more profitable. The banks will love that. And so, it's relatively easy at that point, to get, financing through the SBA.
Love it.
And other ways. Certain types of businesses have a lot of inventory
Mhm.
or they've got a lot of receivables. All right, realize inventory and receivables can be borrowed against.
Mhm.
When we did the book company, huge receivables, huge inventory. It was very easy to finance that acquisition. All right, and we didn't use SBA financing. It's something called asset-based lending or ABL. And it was not it was difficult because it was the middle of COVID. I had to do it three times because I was in the middle of COVID. But we got it done. Right. So if those things are true, if you're profitable, if you're buying something profitable, and unless you're over leveraged to begin with, and even then, if you're buying something, let's say you have $1 million of debt on your books and you're buying it for another 1.5 million, well, the SBA can lend up to 5. You can
And it,
refinance the whole thing.
and it just has to make sense, right? And have the numbers in it. It's not like you're you're pledging your house on this deal, right? There's opportunities, and if you can make it make sense, and then that's where the experts come in and the advisors come in to help you package it in a way that SBA will approve it, or other outside ABL lenders, different types of lenders will approve it. We never recommend you going on this alone, but I think that these are opportunities, right? To get an instant flow of cash coming into your business. And now your net worth business owner just went from 1 million to 2.5 because you bought a cash flowing company that could give you an asset on your balance sheet that says that you've got more income coming in. And then because you're a smart business owner and you've been listening to this podcast so much, you know how to trim your costs, you know how to
Right.
look at different opportunities to make both companies more profitable. And that's why I
Precisely.
think this is such a fantastic idea.
Well, and that's the beauty. I mean, nobody ever got wealthy in a job waiting for the next 3 to 5% cost of living increase.
Right?
It's never
Or one
happened. Not
company picking up the phone like crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah, not happening. I mean, people build wealth by owning, growing, and then ultimately selling a business.
Yeah.
And so, you take the example that we've been playing with here, and then you add your growth strategies to it. Now all of a sudden, that 500,000 is a million in cash flow, and you put a multiple on that. I mean, you're creating wealth.
Love it.
And obviously over time, you're also paying down the debt
Right.
that you've added for the acquisition. So your equity in the business, what's it really worth to you, should go up very, very nicely.
And I think it'll go up. I think it will go up quickly if done right, right? It doesn't even
Done
have to
right.
be done really well, but if you're looking at the numbers and the numbers make sense, the customers make sense, it's literally you're shortcutting the first 5 years or longer of the business opportunity by acquiring another company because
Precisely.
it's already knocked out the cobwebs and they have customers and they have systems and processes and they've got people in place and of course you're going to trim those and which is normal, but yeah, you're already buying something that's already moving, already in
Right.
momentum, and I think that's what the exciting
Right.
part is.
I mean, I talk to entrepreneurs all the time and say, hey, I'm going to start another business.
From
I'm going to
scratch.
go off. I've got this great idea. I'm going to be the next Facebook, and I'm going to do this and do that. Great. Realize 90 to 95% of all startups fail in the first 5 years.
Exactly.
Why don't you take all that energy, go out and find something that's already profitable, already knows their niche, already has the product, and if you can add something to it, I mean, so, if you're a marketing whiz, find a company that your expertise in marketing could help double. All right. I'm working with a guy right now who's kind of a mechanical engineer. I mean, his special sauce, a secret ingredient, he loves to get into businesses and just change the process of how you operate the business to make it more efficient. And he can grow it faster and at a lower cost. And he's really good at it. So what are we looking for? Well, we're not looking for a business that needs a ton of marketing. We're looking for a business that maybe is not run so well.
Mm. And
All
there's
right,
none of
maybe.
those out there, Jeff, right?
Oh
I don't
no,
think there's
no, no,
any
no, no.
businesses that aren't run well out there. Yikes.
Yeah, you're looking for a business that is just underperforming.
Right.
And through his expertise, after he does the acquisition, he can really go in there and do something
I love it.
with that business. So, I mean, each client is different. Each client has their own strengths, they have their own weaknesses, and we just try to marry that with a good acquisition and help them through the whole process.
Love it. So how do we find that company that is underperforming, valued well, and the current owner is, really wanting to get out? Because I mean, we could call that a unicorn or so on, but there's a lot of those flying unicorns running around, aren't there?
There are millions of businesses for sale. I mean, literally millions of businesses for sale. And if you throw in franchises on top of that, I mean the number is just astronomical. So how do you find these businesses? Generally, there's three really good ways to find the business. One is if you just go to Google and you say businesses for sale in whatever your city is, boom. I mean, you're going to see whole listings of business brokers that have businesses for sale. All right, that's the good news. The bad news about that is that most business brokers don't do a very good job. Most business brokers don't do much of their own due diligence before putting up all that information. And I can tell you story after story after story about, you go into something that looks really great. And then all of a sudden you figure out real fast their accountant has no idea what they're doing. The business
Mm.
owner has no idea what the numbers are. You told me you're earning $500,000 a year. No, you're not. You're earning maybe $100,000 a year. Yeah, and so you get that obstacle. The second place, but there's lots of business to look at.
But that obstacle as a buyer is really an opportunity for you to reduce that price. If they're asking $1 million for it and they come in and the
Right.
numbers aren't, I mean, talking about this from my side, you want to strengthen that company so that the buyer doesn't come in and chip away at the price. But that's a normal thing to come in once they open the books and you can really see inside that business to reduce the price, the offering price on it. And so that becomes your opportunity, if the business
Right.
makes sense, for you to get in at a significantly lower price.
Well, to a point.
To a point,
And
of
and to
course,
and the point is where the seller says, you know what, at that price I'm not selling. Right?
right? Then come
And
back to Marcia and we'll grow your business so that you can get the
there
maximum
you
value
go.
for it.
That's
But but
perfect. There you
but
go.
there's usually a 3-year window that buyers are gonna look back on. So I mean, I think that business owner has to really take that idea and say, okay, if I want to sell my company, give me 5 years at least to get it ready to be sold versus going, I'm done and I got half my body out of the business as it is, revenues tanking and so on. But I mean,
Right.
when you look at the buying opportunities, there's a lot of those people that have their one foot out the door already.
Yes, there are. Yes, there are. And you're right. It takes years to get a company ready for sale. I mean, when we bought Rittenhouse, I told everybody on day one two different things. One is my job is to work myself out of a job.
Good.
All right, I'm CEO. Right. So I came in, lived in Atlanta at the time, and now I live in Florida. Business is in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. And so during the middle of COVID, I was on about 175 airline flights.
Oh my goodness. In COVID.
Back and back up and back. And and I didn't get COVID. But my point is I needed to find the right people to do the right things. Once you find those people, you give them more responsibility, and slowly I worked myself out of a job. Okay. So it's incredibly important. And the second thing that I told people in the front is we're not going to make a single decision in this business that doesn't have an eye on the exit. Everything you do in a business, you need to be looking at the exit.
Singing
All
my
right.
song.
If you're gonna sell your business in a year, do you want to start a new division that'll take 5 years to be profitable? Of course not, because you'll have losses for the first 4 years. Well, now, I mean, that may be the best decision that business ever made if you're going to own it for 10 years. But if you're going to own it for 1 year, keep your eye on the ball. Keep your eye on the exit.
Mm.
Incredible. That's
Great, great,
very, very
great, great
important.
advice.
So the second place to find good deals, okay, LinkedIn.
Really?
And my suggestion is you find somebody who's a LinkedIn guru, right? To find the right target. So at one point, I had hired a lady out of Florida, and she did a great job for me. She was looking for CEOs that were over 60 years old, who had owned their business for more than 10 years, and who had more than 20 employees.
Okay.
That's the criteria.
Understand your area, right?
Right. So why did I want that? Over 60, owned it for a long time. Because I wanted somebody who's at retirement age, or at least thinking about it. I want a business that is big enough to make a difference. I don't want to buy a $2 million company, all right, that's making 50,000 or $100,000 a year. I mean, a
That's not
small
worth the
hiccup, and
headache.
all of a sudden you're losing money, right? So it had to be big enough, and it was great. I had, I picked up new clients that way on doing sell side, on M&A, and and built a lot of great relationships, with guys that are kind of my age
Mm,
and are looking for something else to do, but it built this nice business. That's a perfect time to have a conversation with it. And you know what? That business, for the most part, is not for sale. But you develop a relationship with that CEO, and either they can decide tomorrow that, you know what, if you're interested, I'd really like to have a conversation with you about buying my business. Or they could come back and say, I'm not ready yet, but in
Junior's
a year
coming
or
in.
two, but a year from now, I would be ready. So continue the conversation for another year. He may decide halfway through it that I'm ready to sell, or they may decide not. But with that relationship, all of a sudden you're going to find businesses that nobody else knows about,
Mm,
no competition, no broker making up stuff. That's not true. And it's a great place to find business.
love it. Very, very valuable. And you know what? It's like this is a marathon game, right? When you're looking for opportunity, especially in the sales side, every realtor, every business broker understands that it's a long relationship to get them to come in sometime. You have to drop the seed, and once that poison starts going in, they start thinking and start thinking and start thinking, and pretty soon they're like, all right, I'm done. Let's go, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But they're long term, it's a long term, cycle of meeting someone early on, and you've got to have that pipeline filling. So I think that, looking for those opportunities in business, or whether you're looking for any kind of opportunity, I think networking and building those relationships is key for any kind of any kind of opportunity you're looking
Couldn't
for.
agree more. Absolutely right.
Great. Okay, so now you've given us, wow, the gem, which is LinkedIn, and finding those opportunities. So once we find one, what kind of time horizon are we looking at for a transaction?
Most deals can get done in 4 to 6 months
Okay. So you
from
got
the from the time from the time you say, Jeff, find me a company, or we've got an idea. Your builder client.
mm,
He said, I want a fill in the blank in this city or in this state, and it needs to be of this size. You can start now researching what's out there and trying to decide, if there's somebody to buy. I mean, I'd already listed 2 ways to find businesses. The third is if you're really focused on an area, like your builder, and on a specific uh, type of business, you can go to the Chamber of Commerce, you can go to all sorts of databases and buy mailing lists just in your area, just with the CEOs or presidents of the companies that you're interested in looking for. So they're all builders, they're all cabinet makers, they're all plumbers, I mean, whatever it is. And you can find lists of people. And then you create a nice letter introducing yourself, asking them for, 15 minutes of their time at their office. You just want to come in and meet them. You're looking for businesses, to acquire in their area of expertise. No idea if you're interested at all. But if so, I'd love to have a meeting with you.
mm.
Just to get introduced.
So let me throw the elephant in the room here. So these are fantastic ideas. But most business owners are busy running their business. They don't want to go out and hunt for opportunities on that. So my obvious question would be, well, why wouldn't they just hire a business broker to go out and find deals for them?
First, business brokers generally don't represent buyers.
They don't?
No, that's hard work.
As you're explaining, right?
Right. So, yeah, I've got an investment banking background, and I don't have time to go into what's the difference between a business broker and investment banker. But we, just as an industry group, really do a lot of work up front
I can imagine.
to
Yep.
get to understand what you're trying to accomplish, to understand your business, understand how a client or an acquisition could fit into your business, and it's really more of an advisory. It's almost like a legal advisory
Okay.
function. Okay. And so, and that's what I do. I do buy side mergers and acquisitions. I represent those companies. I represent the individuals that, figured out they're not going anywhere in their job, and they're highly entrepreneurial to begin with. And they just, and just the idea of going off and buying, a business is very exciting. And so, and it's great working with those folks. I
Nice.
mean, I completed an acquisition 3 weeks ago, $6.5 million boat distributor for a gentleman who came to me and said, Jeff, I want to buy at least 1 million, if not $2 million of cash flow.
Mhm.
Okay. He said, I'm not looking for a job. I don't want to run it full time. What I'm looking, and he said, look, once I buy it, obviously I'm going to be, involved in strategy and trying to figure out how to grow it. But I'm not going to be in the office every day. I need a management team that's already in place. I need a business that's big enough that it's worthwhile owning. All right, and we looked at, quite frankly, in that case, we probably looked at 15 different companies
Wow.
before we found this one that we said, okay, this is the first one, and I've got a second one and a third one in my pocket, but this
Nice.
is the first one, and he completed that maybe now 4 weeks ago. And now I'm helping him with post-acquisition integration. We're looking at all sorts of things that happen when you buy a business,
Hmm.
and we want to make sure you're getting off on the right foot. So I'm helping him do that. Uh, but it is vitally important to have an M&A advisor, and that's all they do. It's
Well,
vitally
that's
important to have an
fantastic.
M&A attorney,
Right?
and that's all they do. Do not get your local
No.
good guy down the street brother-in-law that may do a great job in corporate law, might have done a deal sometime in their past. You need to spend the money and have a real professional be your M&A advisor. It
Love it.
is worth its weight in gold.
I bet. I bet. So it sounds like what you do is unusual, right? There's not a lot of the acquisition teams out there that truly know what they're doing and can find the property for them. Because your boat guy came in and said, "Look, I just want the cash flow. I don't want to work in the business. I want a team already existing. This is the requirements I want. Tell me when you find something so we can then look at it and start
Yep, yep,
investigating, right?" Is that a
precisely.
common opportunity to find people like you?
Find people like me?
Yeah.
No, because most investment bankers work in an investment banking firm. And about 80% or more of what you do in an investment banking firm is sell side M&A,
Right.
not buy side.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out is because I just assumed there were equal number of buying agents, advisors, and selling advisors. But you're saying
No.
most of them are selling sell side advisors, and you're rather unique as a buy side advisor.
Yeah, I mean, think of it like this. If you have an investment banking firm, you can take on a company that, you've done enough work to know that you can get this thing sold.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you know you can get this thing sold, then you got a very, very, very high probability of getting paid because
Mm-hmm.
you're generally getting paid on a success basis.
Right.
All right. Now, if you take on an acquisition, what did I tell you? We just looked at 15 different businesses to find one that fit what the client was really looking for.
Right.
And a lot of those blew up. The other 15, blew up because the numbers weren't the numbers, because all sorts of different reasons.
Got it.
But, you're taking much more risk as a buy side advisor
On getting paid.
of getting paid.
Got it.
Right. So most people don't do it.
Okay. Makes complete sense. So I love the idea of the effort that you take and you go through and you do the due diligence and you find the opportunities that me as a buyer, I'm already running my business. I don't have time to produce a list and
That's
write
correct.
a letter
That's right.
and shop around in the market and go into LinkedIn and go do the things that need to be done to buy a business. I just want to add more opportunity to my current company, or I just retired doctor and I know how to run something. I just want to do it. So having someone like you would be essential to be on my side.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we agree on that side there. So Jeff, it's a surprise looking at the buy side. I really thought that there were more opportunities out there to get the help you need, but I'm surprised that they're not, and completely understand why they are. But I'm sure there's listeners going, hey, I wanted to acquire my competition, or I wanted to add another vendor onto my, another leg or vertical into my company. Where can listeners find out more about opportunities and having a buy-side acquisition assistant, advisor, M&A expert like you? Where can they find out more?
Well, certainly I can let you know how they can find me. That's easy. First I'm on LinkedIn. So it's, Jeff Villwock. Secondly, jeffvillwock.com. I was very creative when I created that one. So jeffvillwock.com. And, in this fourth career, I've just dubbed myself to be the acquisitions professor.
Love it.
So if you look up acquisitions with an S on the end, professor.com, there's a beginning of a funnel there that would, tell you more about what I do and, what you might be looking for. And if there's a fit, great. We'll take the next step. And if not, that's fine too. But all my contact information is both on LinkedIn and jeffvillwock.com and acquisitionsprofessor.com.
Awesome. Love the branding, acquisitions professor. I think that's super helpful, because a lot of people that are buying will need a little education along the way. I'm sure they're not coming in as an expert themselves. They're going to need somebody that can hold their hand, walk them through, help them analyze and make sure the deal makes sense, then help them with the financing and everything else. And then, as you mentioned,
Right.
help them get the business rolling after the acquisition. So it sounds like a definitely a professor kind of role. So that suits you well. Okay, so listeners, I hope you found a couple ideas to put into your business that will help you be more profitable. And I think acquisition of your competition, or a new vertical, or a new marketplace, or something to add to your company is the quickest way to shortcut the growth process, increase revenue, because it's already going. So I know that this is a great opportunity for you, and I encourage you to go check out Jeff's stuff. As I mentioned before, if you want to supercharge your current business, go download my new Profit Booster Playbook packed with 3 profit strategies and the actionable steps that you can make to make this your greatest year ever. So go grab it for free at boostingprofit.com. And Jeff and I would love to hear your questions or ideas. What vertical do you think would match your business? Put it into the comments. Let us know. Let us know what you're interested in. Not that you're going to get a call from us or whatever, but just hear us in the chat. Jump on, tell us what you're looking for, what you'd like to have, and then we'll join in on the comments for you. And while you're at it, please subscribe. You don't want to miss next week's podcast. And you can always catch Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast players every Tuesday. So we're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks so much, Jeff. This was really valuable.
You bet. Marcia, it's been wonderful. Thank you.